Predicting tomorrow's crypto trends today. Is it possible? I think it's possible because, to an extent, just gonna be honest with you guys, because I've been telling you guys about technical analysis and some of these very commonly seen technical analysis patterns, one of which is the falling wedge pattern, which tells you after an extensive downtrend on a time frame, it's more likely going to break to the upside. Now, given that premise, right? When falling wedges kind of go towards the tighter channel near the end of the falling wedge, then you can kind of get a sense of when it could start breaking out or break down, right? Because they usually break to the upside, but of course I've seen them break to the downside as well. But when it gets to a tighter range, like near the end of the pattern, you can kind of get a sense of if it's about to do something soon, right? So yes, I do think to an extent you could depending on the pattern, you can get a sense of tomorrow's trends based on what we're seeing today. Now we're gonna come back here to Polkadot because it has quite a bit of these falling wedge patterns, right? I'll tell you guys which one is more likely to predict, right? And which ones are not, right? So this is the weekly time frame for Polkadot. It's a big falling wedge pattern, okay, that has been forming since back in March 2024, right? This one, it's a falling wedge pattern, and if it breaks out by this point, um, let's just say, for example, price target would be about $19 for Polkadot dot USDT or USD. However, this falling wedge is going to be a little harder to predict because it doesn't narrow towards the end of the pattern, right? Or at least it's gonna take forever to narrow, right? Unlike this one, okay. So this bigger one is harder to predict, right? But if it stays ranging within this pattern, what I can say is, it's more likely to break to the upside, right? Of course, it depends on a lot on Bitcoin, which is still the driver of this market. I never trade altcoins without a clear understanding of Bitcoin. I am long on Bitcoin and quite a bit of these altcoins here, so my opinion right now is still bullish on this market. But the entirety of this video is just my opinions and not financial advice. And basically, yeah, if Polkadot breaks out of here, that's a pretty big price target. Of course, falling wedges could break down as well. Just got to consider that. Now, it did break out of the smaller falling wedge pattern here. Okay, on this daily time frame, that's probably more noticeable, or probably even a smaller time frame where I can get three candles touching. Right, probably the 12 hour. I just like to be a little more technical sometimes, but just having having a good frame there is fine enough for me, right? So it broke out of this falling wedge pattern on this 12-hour time frame, still very much valid, right? Now in this falling wedge pattern, you could more likely predict a breakout or a breakdown because this channel tightens. Now, it did break out of here. Price target is still about $10 polka dots, right? Still a valid breakout because you can see the price action is still above this upper trend line. And it's not uncommon to see price action go down after a breakout of a falling wedge. I've seen that quite a few times just because of the overhead resistance that the price action has to get back on top of, right? But as long as the price action is above, with candle closes above the upper trend line, is still valid. Now, since it has hit a bottom here, right, at about $3.15, it rebounded and basically formed another falling wedge pattern that doesn't tighten towards the end of the channel. But it did break out of this one, right? Price target here is be about $4.50, which for Polkadot is still a pretty big move because Polkadot is a bigger altcoin, and when you have bigger market cap, it's going to be harder to move, right? So this is basically what I'm looking at for Polkadot. Let's see if it meets that smaller price target of $4.50, and then the bigger target of $10. But price targets are estimates only. There could be more or less. Just gotta account for all types of scenarios that could happen. All right, so this is basically what I'm seeing for Polkadot. Let me know if you guys want to continue seeing more of this coin or any other coins in this market by dropping a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.